Well, hello. It is me, Viola, and I am so happy to be here. Indeed, it is time. Let us start with the climate. We know that the climate is changing and intensifying all over the world and in your areas as well, and it's affecting your interaction with your environment. We will say that this is just one of the changes that is happening on the earth. And we are going through these changes as well. We are experiencing it slightly different than you as we comprehend ourselves as a part of earth and her nature. So we are experiencing these changes. How can we explain? So if the earth is getting hotter, we're getting hotter. If the earth is vibrating faster, we are vibrating faster. Now, it's the same for you, but because your awareness of your oneness with the earth is limited, because you have a level of separation, you also experiencing the changes as external, as happening, what you would say, in your environment. For us, it is different as we perceive these changes as they are happening with us in the change, if that makes sense. So we do not become worried or concerned when certain layers of reality, let us say it this way, the changes that you are experiencing are going to intensify even more. And it is because the layer that is most dense about the physicality of the earth, the lowest frequency, is hardening, as if it's becoming a crust on the earth that it's going to eventually crack and shatter. So those who are very attached to the physical representation and see only the physical representation may panic. However, those of you that are opening their awareness to, we will call it a greater existence, realize this shedding just like when a snake or a lizard shed their skin in order to grow. So in these examples, for some reason we're hitting against the table. In this example, humans are the one seeing their own skin being shed and are panicking in the process. Of course, this is oversimplified, but it is a good analogy to what is happening. So we will say, yes, there are earth changes that are extreme and are going to become more extreme. But this is one thin layer that is going to become more and more of what it is, to the extent that it's no longer resonate with higher realms, and they will break off. Again, we see this as the crust cracking and shattering.
If you could elaborate upon the aspect of the crust and the planet shedding its skin and what that may look like. I think you understand my question.
I do, and it looks differently based on the perspective you are looking at it. And we will say that on the lowest, densest perspective, and we're not talking about the density level, but density of material. So it's the opposite. It's the least dense spiritually, but most dense physically. It looks like chaos. It looks like fires that are burning the surface and floods that are flooding from underneath. And the land moving, what you call earthquakes and earth shifts. So from the densest perspective, that's what it looks like. However, as you go up the realms, which you guys often refer to as 3D, 4D, 5D, whether it's dimension or density, you understand you are elevating your perspective and existence. So as this shift of consciousness is happening, and it is already happening, it looks different. So for example, you are experiencing, you have a shared collective agreement on what reality you are currently in, all of you in this group and all of you that are listening. So you are experiencing certain fires, certain calamities, but for example, not full earth shattering. On some levels, the shattering has already happened or is currently happening. So what we're saying, depending on your perception, on your consciousness, you're going to perceive this differently. Now, as this evolution continues, what you will see more and more is how different the experience is for those who are not sharing your evolution yet to yourself and those around you who are sharing your progress, your evolution of consciousness. And you already see it to some degree. You already see it if you talk to people. They are literally experiencing the world in a different way. Some are having a horrible time and think the world is in a horrible place and see very, very little hope. These people are physically, practically living different lives than you are. So this is going to become more extreme and more pronounced. And eventually, the two realities will separate. They will separate in the same way that you are now perceiving yourself separate from the higher dimension with beings, with other beings that you currently cannot see or interact with on a conscious level, most of you. So in the same way, those realities are going to separate. And then the people that are experiencing the calamities on earth will be completely separate from those who are experiencing the new earth. But on how it looks depending on how you look at it. So you can separate it by time, as in past, present, future, which is usually how humans separate it, or you can separate it by level of consciousness, which is how it looks more from our perspective. And again, other beings that are not tied to this physical dimension the way you perceive it. So on some level, the earth looks like hell, fire and brimstone that is shattering and falling apart. In a higher round, it looks like slightly higher. It looks like duality, similar to the way you perceive it, but you're already going above that. So more calamities, more fires, more earthquakes, people are getting more hostile. A little higher, which is more or less where you are, there are some calamities, but also a lot of goodness, a lot of people coming together, a lot of exciting discoveries. The good is, what you consider good, is gaining momentum. And we say in this case, good, if we put it on the spectrum, good and bad could be light and darkness or evolution or devolution. You can look at it any way you want, but they're not really good or bad. It's just a part of the whole. So in another layer up, you would see even more of the good. So now the calamities are nearly gone. The earth is integrated. Humans live on it in a more harmonious way, including the climate and different aspects that are coming up, and are becoming more and more spiritual. And the next level is what you call the next dimension. And in that dimension, you have a completely different perspective of the earth and of your belonging to it. And that's when your perception really changes. You maintain your individuality, but it's from an integrated perspective of ones that have, where it's very difficult to describe in non-linear terms. So we'll describe it in linear terms, of ones that have connected to source, felt their oneness, and then emerged back from the oneness to continue their mission and existence.
Yes, I think I get it. So ultimately, it would be fair to say that everything is in its right place, and
Yes.
that everyone is encountering the experience that they need to.
Absolutely. And your current perception of what's going on around you reflects where you are on your specific evolution of consciousness in this specific physical journey.
Yes. So to understand that we ourselves are a part of nature. So we're all moving together. There's
Exactly.
no separation between humanity, the consciousness